Hi, welcome back to Have You Heard? I'm Barney, and I'm joined today by Adam, our business director, and we're going to talk about client services, our team, the offering, and how it's changed over the last 6 months.
Indeed.
Yeah. Where do you want to start, Adam? Where do you want to start?
Well, it's probably good to go back. We did one of these about 6 months ago, I think, when we talked about why we'd introduced it. So I think we're literally coming up to almost a year of having a client services team.
Yeah.
And the backstory of that was, I suppose when I joined, we didn't really have a client services function or account management function as we have it now. The teams, departments, if it was organic, paid, influencer, they kind of managed their own clients, which worked. But I think as we've grown, clients have grown, projects have grown in terms of budgets, the demand. And actually what you see is the requirement for a bit more project management, which is natural progression. But also we didn't want to suffocate the teams in terms of losing the ability to imprint their expertise and knowledge whilst also having to manage clients and outputs. So the initial function of client services was very much looking at introducing more in the first instance of just a central figure who can project manage, be a core contact between client and the deliverable teams.
Yeah.
Obviously our deliverable teams still are client facing when required. But also, again, just really being able to properly have people who can nurture a client relationship. And it's worked really well. But it's evolved massively over 12 months, probably 6 months, and even in the 3 months you've been with us as well. So it's really exciting to see, and I think the future of it as well will continue to evolve in terms of how, why and what that client services team do and offer for the business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I think to that point, it's amazing actually looking back since from when I started at the change. And I think that point you made around sort of that, obviously the main function of our role is that kind of client relationship. And, like you said, the team has previously had quite a lot of FaceTime with the clients. But it's brilliant to see that sort of figurehead now in place across most of our accounts. And actually, I think the clients themselves are really enjoying that. I've had feedback that they obviously, they're really enjoying having that point of continuity. I think also that sort of the bridging point between the teams and having a more holistic view of our overall delivery helps. I think previously, the teams working on their own outputs, going back to the client, maybe were almost too focused on their role and what they were doing. And actually I think the great opportunity for us and actually the benefit and the value we give to our clients is we see obviously everything that our deliverable teams do in a holistic sort of setting. And we're also then sort of sitting in the middle between our clients and the team. So we sort of have this quite specific role and quite a sort of delicate balance really between the clients and our deliverable teams. But I think that's the main difference, is that we don't get too blinkered to one specific team. We see everything working in tandem. And I think that's only a greater service that we can then deliver to the clients. So so far it's obviously we're changing so much all the time. But it's really exciting.
Yeah. And I think you've sort of nailed it there in terms of starting to touch on the evolution of it and the plan, in that, no disrespect at all to the team, but it was that, like say, that first instance was just streamline the process and that comms and things like that. I think what we've seen and where the value is coming now is very much knowledge of all departments from the account management team and what client services do, as well as internally, but will also affect clients moving forward, is just that commercial side of things as well. That's an internal aspect of contributing towards growth and growing clients, but a lot of that comes from understanding client business and actually having time to understand the client business, the client issues, what we're actually trying to solve in the immediate, but also what the long-term ambition of those clients are.
Yeah.
When you have a single person or a team of people who can dedicate time to do that, it makes such a big difference, because then it also allows the deliverable teams to, you know, be really effective in terms of the day-to-day work or the campaign work or the responses and things like that. So, you know, it's in its infancy to where it is now, it's still functioning the same way. We're just adding layers to what the offering is and what the account management teams do day to day. So the other advantage or transition and change that's happening now, which obviously you've been a massive part of over the last 3 months since you've joined, is when we can sit back a little bit and oversee what's happening, you very quickly start to realize the opportunities to improve, to make things better, because you're not in it all the time. And part of that process and what we're going through now is, you know, it might seem very normal that you would say, oh, well, an agency or work, you know, should have all these things in place. And don't get me wrong, we very much did have processes and ways of working and all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, as Jack and Zoe have talked about on this podcast and other people, the rapid growth things, you know, the rapid growth means that things move so quickly. And the entire business is building, you know, more efficient process across the board. So it's very much just we're able to sit back and start looking at that entire process from not just in process that ensures work's delivered on time, but is better, is optimized. You know, when we do things like reporting, it's, you know, great to do a report month to month and share it with a client, and you might take little bits of learnings, but now it's ingrained in, right, what we're doing next month. Has everybody read it? What are we taking from it? What are the 3 or 4 points that we're taking from it? And client services have that role of eking that stuff out. So when the next brief comes in, we've got that foundation. Documents, you know, again, rapid growth, new clients, different processes means that every team is working maybe slightly different, but not different enough that should warrant, you know, 45 different processes. I take that based on the number of clients potentially or where we're sitting, you know, that huge roster of clients that we work with. So again, because we're central to everything happening day to day, you're able to sit with the teams and go, right, you know, what does our status doc look like? Why have we got 40 tabs on this one and 6 on that one? What do we actually need? What does the briefing document really look like? What questions need to be answered? Because, you know, again, that client services and account manager sits across 2 or 3 clients. So we've got this happening here, that over there. Can we combine it? And it just, all of those things of process changes or things happening have only been able to be impacted and have these changes occur to positively impact internal structures and processes, but also our clients, by having that team and those people in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting because obviously, you know, we've got this really great opportunity. I think that, you know, you talk about the processes fluctuating and being quite fluid, and obviously that's some people might see that as a negative. I think the reality for us is that we're going through such growth and flux that it's amazingly powerful to be able to be, you know, constantly tweaking and fiddling rather than having a set process that we do have to follow. And I think that's, you know, that's really vital actually to kind of keep growing. In terms of sort of, you know, the impact that this has had on the business and actually sort of bringing CS in and sort of, you know, you talked about standardizing and kind of making those processes and docs more consistent. What kind of impact do you see having on the business currently?
Like massive impact. I think, you know, we've just been having meetings this week about future of, you know, when we bring in new clients or existing clients and accounts, and essentially making client services an essential on all pieces of business that come in through the building. Again, I think the important thing to understand is that's not because the deliverable teams can't manage clients, but the management of clients takes away from them doing their job as effectively as possible.
It's about making our teams and our output more efficient, right? And that's what we fundamentally do, because we sort of bridge the gap. We're brand guardians, so for the clients, we're doing their job almost internally and allowing the teams to just get on with what they do best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's noticeable across the business. When internal teams are asking for client services to support them or be introduced into existing clients, which is something we want to naturally and organically start to build, which is great because internally they're seeing the benefit. When we're pitching for new business, like I say, it's the first thing that goes in now in terms of having that sort of central person managing and looking after those teams. Long term, I certainly, that's not going to change. I think it's only going to increase in terms of size of that team. We've got a great foundation and we've built a solid collective of people at this moment in time, but the recruitment is starting to happen as we're building out, and because the demands are growing, and the effects are, the knock-on effects when you see a lot of the clients that have client services or have had over the last 6 to 12 months, they're the ones that are growing quicker in some instances. And again, that's not necessarily because not having it is right or wrong. I think it's just simply because, they've been the first clients that we've been able to, with budgets and things, to put it on and start building it. And they were also test beds for it. But that just shows the positive impact. So from a business perspective, we're looking at going, well, if we can have these people and this structure and setup, it's great all round. And when I talk about growth, again, back to my earlier point, it's not just about it's great for us, well done, we make more money. We're able to do that with clients because we're seeing success. So the clients are seeing success, which means our direct contacts are, able to walk into internal meetings and pitch for more budget with all the tools they need, with great results, with an efficient process, and from an internal perspective, their end are able to release additional things to do more projects and so on, because we've just got the ability to have that kind of relationship and build. So growth-wise, I think it's going to continue to be a positive impact on the business internally, but also for our clients. And the biggest change, over time, beyond just, documents and process and things like that, is a really skilled, knowledgeable collective of people that understand the role of all departments, that understand, that by no means experts in everything, because it's impossible to do that, but already you can see that they can have conversations and communicate with clients at a level which instills comfort and excitement, but internally then they're able to translate that and pull in the right people at the right time. Again, just all of those things across the board of building that knowledge and expertise to an extent which is valuable to clients and the teams internally is just what we're going to continue to push for over the next 12 months. And it's
that point around sort of knowledge and being a broad skilled operator, not sort of specializing, but being able to cover everything. It's something we talked about kind of when I first joined. And it's something, from my point of view, with my pod, I'm trying to sort of instill that kind of more strategic oversight, and not necessarily, well, we need to get under the skin of every discipline, but it's more about kind of what does this all mean together? And it's kind of, I guess that's we're going to talk about actually in terms of how we've incorporated more of a strategic role within the client service team, and sort of why that's been important. So kind of obviously that was something that you guys talked about previously, I think you and Jack. How have you seen that process over the last 6 months?
So I think it's the building of knowledge of strategy, I suppose. We're not asking them to be strategists at all, because I think it's a skill. That's why we have a strategy team here as well, who work very closely with the client services team and sort of fall under that umbrella. But from a account management perspective, again, it's not we're not just trying to build a team of project managers. It's that knowledge piece of, whether it is understanding enough about the department and having that information to being able to also understand and articulate what client needs are from the immediate but the long term, and then think in a strategic way. And it doesn't have to be strategy in terms of I'm a social strategist and I'm delivering X, Y, and Z. This is your channel plan.
Yeah.
But it's strategic in terms of at first point of contact.
Yeah.
That individual already has an idea of how I can answer this question for you. What teams are required to answer this. So it's simple things such as them understanding and being able to write a really clear brief, whether that's with the client or sitting in those meetings to get the brief and then distilling it afterwards. It's a skill in itself to have a really clear brief that teams can work from. But also, again, strategically understanding, okay, these are the results or these are the metrics, these are the KPIs. What do we need to get to here? Or what does
this mean?
Exactly.
What does this mean? I think that's the thing that I'm kind of drilling into my team is, what does this actually mean?
Yeah.
It's like we do what we do day to day, but why are we doing that?
Yeah.
What does this mean? And how does this support the client? So it's about adding value to our clients, not necessarily, in what we do day to day. Sometimes it's actually more broad than that. Sometimes it's what's affecting them in their kind of their wider role. How do we, as an agency that they trust, hopefully support them in whatever they need, right? So it's kind of like you say, it's not just one piece or two pieces. It's like actually just overall, how do we support our clients more generally? Yeah,
massively. And again, it's beneficial to us, but also beneficial to our clients, and we see that across the board. And it's one of the departments that obviously leading it and building it with Zoe and Jack and the wider team leads. I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of where it's up to. I'm super.
I was going to say, what's next?
Well,
what's next?
I think it's more just continuing to grow it. We're never going to perfect a process. We're never going to have the perfect answer to everything. But it's a team of people that can just impact a business. Again, internally, clients, really effectively.
Yeah,
that's all we want. But at the same time, that means that they allow the teams here to do their jobs as efficiently and effectively as possible as well, because they're experts. That's what we look for. But again, I think the future is just continuing to grow it, continuing to upskill, continuing to work with clients more, which is the biggest learning that I think anyone is going to be having within that team, of just engaging day to day with clients and learning more about different businesses and how things work. Yeah. But just building a structure within that again, allows people to develop and grow. And I'm pretty sure as we move, we've been very fortunate. I think 50% of our team has come from other departments, which is great as well, which is huge. I think that may potentially continue, but also it's about upskilling and bringing new thinking into the team as well.
That's a really interesting point actually, about how we've kind of taken a couple of people, more than a couple of people from other teams, and bringing them into the CS team. And I think you're right, that kind of brings with it obviously that knowledge already inbuilt, that they've already come from, say, organic or come from paid, and they've got that inbuilt knowledge. And then actually from our point of view, it's about how do we sort of broaden your output and broaden your sort of knowledge across the business. But it's only going to give us more kind of, more knowledge, more sort of more in our arsenal, so to speak, in terms of what we can deliver from a client service point of view. And I think it's great just in terms of the diversity of the team, that we've got these sort of people who come from specialized positions. That all feeds into, our broader awareness for the business. So I think, I echo your kind of point. I think it's a really exciting time to be in the team. I'm loving it. I'm loving sort of being, in the sort of early inception period of it all, and helping to kind of shape it with you. I think it's obviously really exciting in terms of where we're going with it all. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, or follow wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, and hopefully we'll see you soon.